Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July. I hope you are well. I know these are late. Thank you for waiting for me. I do appreciate it. We're using the Tower of the Abyss for you today. I have nothing else to tell you because I'm really out of the loop with the astrology at the moment. I've no idea what's going on, so we'll get straight on with the reading. Can I have 3 cards for Taurus, please? We have the Four of Cups in your recent past. Tell me about present energy for Taurus, please. Thank you. We have the Hanged Man and we have the Ten of Pentacles. That's quite interesting. Hanged Man is Pisces, obviously. And what's coming towards Taurus, please, for July? Whoa. We have the Nine of Pentacles. Very nice. So, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Pentacles, a card that does speak about balance. Sometimes, you know, the achievement of balance, and other times the need for balance. What do we have underneath here? Justice. An even bigger card of balance. It's in sort of in terms of natural justice, perhaps. I mean, it could be anything from, you know, legal situations right up to some sort of balance that is achieved, that is in some way fated. It feels very pointed towards you. We've got the Empress underneath the Justice card there. The Empress being the, you know, the chaotic, in some ways, chaotic and ranging feminine energy of nature. You know, we've got natural justice right there. There's something, it feels to me, that is going to be fixed for you. Put it that way. Fixed for you over the course of this month. And the issue is not the thing. The issue is your approach to the thing. Like, we see that, you know, we see this transition by way of a change in perspective, perhaps a submission to circumstance. I mean, we'll wait until we've got the clarifiers out before we decide which way round that is. But to go from the Four of Cups through to the Nine of Pentacles, feels to me it's like it's an energy of putting you much closer to where you actually want to be. Closer to what is right for you, what is fulfilling for you. Let's get some clarifiers before I start speaking at length too much. Fuck, let's totally fuck that up, right? Let's try that again. That's better. Right, tell me about this Four of Cups, please. We have Page of Wands and we have the Two of Cups. Okay. Tell me about the Hanged Man and the King of Pentacles. We've got the King of Wands, the Four of Wands, stunning. One more for that, please. And the Judgment card. Wow. Judgment and Justice showing up in the same reading. Tell me about the Nine of Pentacles, please. We have the Five of Cups. And the Magician. Right. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Cups at the bottom of the deck there. That's more Piscean energy. And I like it. I like it very much because the Knight of Cups is an open-hearted movement. You know, it is movement straight from the heart. It is not about overthinking. It's not about anxiety. It's not about second-guessing anything. It's not even a cerebral position at all. It is about moving with a different organ altogether. Your heart. Don't get excited. Now, although there are a number of cards here that would speak to the possibility that this is specifically to do with relationships, I don't want to nail this reading down to that entirely. For some of you, you will be dealing with relationship things, and it will be certainly a perspective that you are holding on something that seems to me that you are quite willing to be committed to. But for others of you, the fact that we've had the Justice card and the Judgment card come out, and these are big, wide-ranging energies, you know, they're really big picture energies, very, very broad. It makes it feel more to me that this is all of your relationships, but possibly this is all of your life as well, you know, all of your work, all of your hobbies. It is the big picture of your existence right now. It doesn't feel to me about the detail. In any other way than the detail of how you change your mindset this month. It's quite interesting. I've done a few readings now for July already, and there's this same energy permeating through all of them, which is something really, really critical occurring in the mindset, in the emotions, you know, even on a soul level, perhaps. Let's turn that bottom card over and it was the Fool. That is leading to a rejection of an old way of being. Now, if we've done nothing else over this last 2 years, we have been constantly turfing out. 2 years. God, it's 3 years. Oh, it's like 3 years in about 2 weeks. Fucking hell. So 3 years. It's been about turfing out old thought patterns, old thought processes, you know, those things that we've internalized that frankly we had no business internalizing, but that we did because, you know, quite a lot of this appeared in childhood and whatnot, right? The influences of others specifically, but then possibly also the influences of you know, considerable spiritual awakenings for sure, but sometimes the catalyzing events that tend to bring those around, because they don't tend to happen in isolation, they don't happen in a vacuum. You know, something tends to pull this out of the woodwork, and whether it's a broken heart through, you know, failed relationship, whether it's a protracted period alone, you know, where you're just left with your thoughts and eventually you start putting things together. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, actually, getting a tattoo is a really, it's quite a spiritual thing for me, because I end up putting all sorts of things together. It's very creative. I don't know, somewhere my mind goes. You know, there are lots of different ways that these things can happen. But you, like all of the other signs that I've read for so far, seem to be moving either by way of spiritual, you know, God, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not ascension. Oh God, it's one of those, right? Okay. Awakening. There we go. Another awakening, and you've had a series of them. You know what they're about. Or by way of processing something and seeing it objectively, seeing it clearly for the first time. Because there is a sense of you kind of walking into a power here that you did not know that you had. It's becoming aware of it rather than suddenly developing it. And I mean, the only thing that you're probably suddenly developing is an awareness of how much you have held yourself back in any particular way. Now, we can say that about everyone, and certainly we've talked about this a lot on this channel over the last 3 years. But nevertheless, Spirit's not done with you yet. There's more, right? There's more coming. And what I find really interesting is the spread of the cards. We've got wands, we've got cups, we've got pentacles. What we do not have are any swords, and I like that for you, Taurus. I like that very much, because too much sword can be very, very difficult. I mean, you look at the latter stages of the suit of swords, you've got 7, the 8, the 9, the 10, and none of those are comfortable energy. And as someone very smart said that I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago, you know, too many swords will have you absolutely locked still. You know, it's not about moving through the swords. So what you've got is a spread of the other elements. Leading to a culmination here in the Magician, where there is a sword depicted. I've just noticed it, obviously, right? But where there's an understanding that there is only one that is required, and is the Ace of Swords. Okay? Too many swords makes things cluttered, right? In fact, if you try and store too many swords in one place, right, they clutter against each other, and then the blades get dulled and they get chipped and all that sort of thing. And you can't even use them for the thing that you wanted them for in the first place, you know. Better to concentrate your energy on what it is that you seem to be concentrating on at the moment, which is growth, expansion, self-knowledge, balance. Right? Well, let's not forget these cards here. You know, balance, giving yourself the space to be able to use what it is that you feel. Now, I've been clattering on for 10 minutes and I haven't even picked up an individual card yet. We start off with the Four of Cups. Now, the Four of Cups in your recent past is kind of a challenging energy, but for you, it feels like it's been a necessary precursor to where you go next, right? I don't actually think that there is anything, you know, even remotely like coincidence in the world. I think that we experience everything that we do exactly when we're supposed to and whatnot. So, I mean, in that way, obviously the Four of Cups would be this. But there's a malaise with this card, right? There's a kind of... I mean, sometimes it could be loneliness. I actually understand that, you know. There's a sense of rejection here with it. But I think for you, Taurus, I think that you just didn't understand that you were rejecting something, right? If you have a look at the spread of these cards, right, the distribution of them, these cups rather, we've got 3 cups at the bottom here. Now, given his vantage point on that branch, those cups are, one would assume, out of his view. He cannot see that they are there. And that makes it quite different to the usual one that we see in the Waite Smith deck, right, where they're there and there's a sky hand proffering them, right? There's one here, it's been kind of dangled out of the tree, but the others are underneath the branch and you can't see them. And so what we've got here is somebody who is just kind of sitting and waiting. And yes, he's turned away from the cup, but I don't feel like it's deliberate. I don't feel like he's seen it and gone, oh, fuck you, I don't want this, I'm going to look over here. More it is that kind of staring that we do when we're trying to process something. So we're sitting here on this branch, slumped down, looking at the floor, kind of staring at the inside of our heads, because that's what it looks like he's doing there to me. Arms crossed, and there's a why me kind of feeling about this. You know, yes, it can sometimes talk about bitterness, and it can talk about a level of resentment, or certainly something that can bloom into that with the Five of Cups that we do have here on the table still. But it feels more like you just haven't noticed. Now, if we're talking about relationships here with you, I'm going to pull your attention to the fact that we've got the Page of Wands and we've got the Two of Cups underneath there. And it could well be that there has been somebody who has been trying to get your attention and you just have not read that situation properly. Right? You don't know what it is. You're not seeing it. And it's because your mind has been somewhere else. Right? Have you been feeling sorry for yourself just a little bit? I mean, well, that's possible too with the Four of Cups. And that's okay as long as you don't stay there for too long, right? I don't think, as a sign, you're particularly prone to doing that anyway, because so much of the Taurus experience is predicated on this notion of being really, really strong, right? So things may get you down, but you don't allow yourself to stay down for too long, because then you're not being productive, then you're not being efficient, then you're not creating, then you're not channeling, you know, all of this beautiful Empress energy for which you are, right, quite rightly so associated. But this doesn't have to be a malaise with what could eventually turn into a significant relationship. It could be across all of your relationships. It could be about the relationship potentially that you have with yourself, although I feel that a little less likely as I'm looking at it here. It's like there's a need for adventure that isn't being fulfilled within you at the moment, Taurus. But I think what is possible, And it seems to me to be the linking thing between these cards and the ones that are showing up in your current energy here, is that there's sort of an assumption that you need other people to do it with. Now, this will be an aspect of your, collective mindedness coming out to play. Or like, well, I can't go and do this thing because I need someone to go and do it with me. Well, I can't do that on my own. That'd be really strange, Tell me about this Two of Cups. A Hermit. Except that it's not. So, remember how I said just then that I felt like we went through, everything that we go through, we're supposed to go through, and we only really see the wisdom of that in retrospect, when we're kind of looking back and we go, I can see why I needed to be on my own for a bit. I can see why I needed to leave that job. I can see why all of these things happened, This malaise that you've been in, where you've been feeling, I assume, pretty unsupported, where you've been feeling a little bit cast adrift, a little bit like you don't know where you're going, a little bit like you don't really know what's meant for you now. And it's very specific, the way that's been laid out, what's meant for you now, which makes me feel like something hasn't quite turned out the way that you had anticipated. It is by design that you are now here in this energy, because it is pushing you towards this Hermit, right? That's the desire to be with other people. That's the desire to perhaps be in a relationship, to perhaps be in, myriad relationships, have lots and lots of friends, lots and lots of family around, Wanting to feel the thrill and excitement of just being around other people. But you have supposed to have been on your own. You're supposed to be looking for answers on your own. And the thing is, I think that there's a certain amount of aloneness that needs to happen, and then a corresponding amount of loneliness before you start to push through that and start to look for the reasons why. Now, this Three of Swords popped out with the Hermit card, and I think that this is quite interesting. Not least because it's in the reverse, and we like the fact that it's in the reverse, right? Because this is a card of healing here. This Three of Swords, when it's showing up in the reverse. I mean, the Four of Swords is more healing, but it's the kind of mental processing. I've got this, in this kind of whole little dialogue in my head that I have about the cards. I mean, this is the visceral pain of a sword going into the heart. This is that razor sharp thing where, it's like when you cut yourself and you know that this is going to hurt like a motherfucker in about 30 seconds, but right now you can't feel it, right? I think we've all probably experienced that kind of thing. When something's so sharp that you don't actually initially feel the pain, you just go into shock instead, right? That's what this card feels like to me. When you turn it around that way, not only has it hit in, the pain has hit in, and you understand what it is that you're dealing with, or at least you comprehend finally what's going on. But this way around it, I feel like it allows gravity to do its job, because there's no way your heart's going to heal itself while it's still got swords stuck in it, right? And that way around, if you try and pull them out from the bottom, they're just going to drag it deeper in, right? Even gravity will pull them deeper into your heart. To reverse it like this has gravity pulling these swords out, and then the process of healing can begin. Then, presumably, the Four of Swords would kick in and we'd had something going on, right? So we've got these two cards here, and it says to me that there is healing going on with you to a degree that you're not even really aware of at this point, right? The Four of Swords would be the point of full consciousness for me, and we're not there yet. We're at a point where the swords need to be dragged out. Now, the Seven of Swords is at the bottom of the deck here, and yeah, I mean it's the liar card, it's the thief card, it's the deception card. And then it could be that you've been in a situation where you have become aware of somebody else's deceptive behaviour, something devious, something that has been very hurtful to you. But I do feel very strongly that the Seven of Swords more often for me speaks of the ways that we deceive ourselves. And it's almost borne out even more strongly by the fact that we've got the Five of Pentacles sitting behind that too. This is the ways in which we do not take care of our own basic needs, or where we rely on others to try and do that for us. And I mean, it's not their job, it's our job, right? There's a realization here that is coming to you during this period of isolation, possibly this period of slight loneliness, slight listlessness, slight malaise. That feels to me like it's going to be popping out into your consciousness very, very shortly. I just want to point out that the Four of Swords was the card that was behind the Five of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. You know, where have you been deceiving yourself about something? And if you say immediately nothing, then there's where you're lying to yourself, because we all do it and our subconsciouses do it all the time about all sorts of things. And there's no judgment there with that. You know, the important thing is to notice that it's happening and then sit with it and go, why are you doing that? What are you trying to protect me from here? Like, where are you trying to keep the wool over my eyes because ignorance is bliss? Well, it's not bliss. We know it's not bliss. And for us to be able to move from this Three of Swords in reverse, through the Seven of Swords, through the Five of Pentacles, to finally get to that Four of Swords that is necessary for you to be able to, you know, rest, recover, recuperate, process and move on. We need to know what it is, right? You need to be looking inside for what it is. Like, and it's coming. Because what we've got here appearing in your current energy is the Hanged Man and the Ten of Pentacles. Now, there's a really strong lean towards relationships here that I've been trying to resist, but the leaning is still happening, right? It's still coming out as a really significant influence on your thinking. And I think as a collective creature, as a herd creature, as Taurus is, I think that it is likely that this might be more important for you than it would be for, say, a sign like Capricorn, right? Who likes their privacy, likes their quiet time, doesn't really want to be around people. Thank you very much. You know, not saying that that's right, because it's not. Like, there's got to be a healthy balance that's drawn somewhere. But in terms of the collective, in terms of what it is that you want to commit to, because this is a strong card of commitment here for me. You don't just end up with 10 Pentacles unless you're, you know, lucky enough to, oh, said that already, said it in another reading, have some sort of mysterious benefactor like Pip from Great Expectations, or you win the lottery, or you inherit something, you know. It doesn't usually happen. It's usually something that takes a long time to build. And if it's a tree, as it does appear to be here, then it takes a while for those roots to grow sufficiently that it will be able to support something of this size, you know. There's a lot of trees for that. There's that, you know, Hermes Trismegistus, as above, so below, right? And you look at a tree, and apparently the root system is usually about the same size as the tree above the ground that it supports. So trees are very spiritual for many reasons, but that's one of them. So we've got here notions of your security, your stability, the things that you want to commit to, the things that you want to be committed around you, also kind of environmental. But we've also got notions of collective well-being going on here, right? Now, if you watch my channel for any length of time, you know that I speak about the pentacles as being kind of like energetic currency. And so then anything that you can invest becomes a pentacle: your time, your care, your effort, your money, your love, you know. And this is the pinnacle of that. This is a pinnacle of your earth element investment in something. And what's happening here with the Hanged Man is there is a complete about face going on here. There is a complete shift in perspective going on with you about what all of these things actually are and how actually important they are to you. And this is the only thing, this sort of contemplation, I think, can only really happen when you are alone, right? When you are spending time with yourself in a way that you don't really fucking want to, right? That's when you kind of push to start looking at these things. And once you've made whatever kind of mindset shift, you know, once that's happened, then reintegrating back into society or the family, or, you know, re-engaging with anything that speaks of pentacles to you, is where you get to kind of test it and see if you've got it right, see if this is right for you. We've got the King of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the Judgment card coming up here. I think that you're about to make some really, really big decisions, Taurus. And the interesting thing is, I think you're going to shock yourself with exactly what it is that you choose to do at this point, right? The King of Pentacles is all about action, right? It's about taking action to do something. It's the masculine expression of wand energy, and wands are all about doing and experiencing and all of that kind of thing. So you take the King, which is that active masculine pinnacle of doing energy, and we've got a drive, we've got something going on that you're about to undertake. The Four of Wands is a card that speaks of, you know, a new foundation, right? And whether that's through relationships or whether it's to do with moving house or whatever, you know, there's something being flipped up here. I've just got an image of like an old paving slab that's not sitting correctly being actually flipped up and then cleaned out from underneath so that it can sit back down again properly, and then you can build something on top of it. But the really important thing here is the Judgment card, because the Judgment card is about the decisions that you choose to make. Now, it can talk about other things. It can talk about, you know, a resurrection from the past. I tend to stick with that kind of interpretation more when we are looking at cards during retrograde kind of energies, right? But particularly in this, what's it called? Triple Goddess Tarot. There we go. Lost it for a second. You know, this sense of ascension is much more significant than we would see perhaps in other depictions of the Judgment card, right? You are elevating and you are going through a fucking door. Now, the Four of Wands is also sometimes called a portal card, you know, because we've got these double wands on either side. You know, there's something that you're walking through, there's something that you're creating here, and I don't think that you anticipate it. Now, when I was shuffling these cards right at the beginning of this fucking reading, there were two cards that were the wrong way around, and it was the Tower and the High Priestess. And I clocked it and I thought, that's very interesting. I put them the right way around and I shuffled them back in. But it fits very strongly with what I'm seeing going on here. You know, the Hermit it's a card of Virgo. It's a card of a great introspection. Right? You know, it's not necessarily a passive card in so much as it is an active exploration of one's insides, but certainly on the outside it can seem quite passive. The Hanged Man is the most passive card in the tarot, right? It's a Pisces card. And then we've also had, you know, the appearance of the High Priestess in here, albeit with the Tower, and we've even got this Pisces energy here in the Knight of Cups appearing also. There's a lot of passivity that is about to be replaced with a great deal of action. Got the Three of Wands and the Ace of Wands. I mean, really, I couldn't have picked two better cards for that. We've got the Seven of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune and the Justice card here sitting underneath, right, at the bottom of the deck, the shadow cards. What is currently causing you this state of malaise, right? Where things aren't really how you want them, but you don't know how you want them because you don't really know with what, what's wrong with what you already have, is about to change. I did say to you right at the beginning that I felt like there was a clarity coming. But we've got the Justice card appearing again, talking about balance, talking about all things kind of being brought right, where they're supposed to be. But these two cards together here, fucking hell, there's something quite karmic, something fated that is happening for you this month, off the back of the way that you are changing your perspective on a lot of things. Now, this could be a relationship. If that's what you are looking for, then that absolutely is signaled as a possibility here. But remember what I was saying right at the beginning, it feels like it's much, much bigger than that. We're talking about broader strokes. We're talking about the way that you, Taurus, show up in the world, what it is that you want to achieve, what it is that you want to commit to, what it is that a Ten of Pentacles actually looks like to you. Because I feel like it's different to where you were with it last year. And I don't think that you've caught up with it yet. Possibly. It could be that you have an opportunity that arises at some point this month here, and you're kind of grabbing it with both hands and you're going, and then you kind of look at it and you'll be like, I'm quite surprised I did that. I wouldn't have done that a year ago. That's possible for some of you, but it seems to me that it's mindset shift first, and then it's something coming in fucking sideways that you don't really see coming. And we've got a whole fucking spiritual awakening that seems to be woven into the fabric of this process for you too. Now, when we come to what's coming towards you in July, we've got the Nine of Pentacles. And I like this very much, not least because we've got a change of perspective of what Ten of Pentacles really, the value of it, what it looks like, what it's comprised of, how you would go about it, how you would construct it, happening here in your present. This is almost a step back, but it's a step back to help you move forwards, right? Because there's action going on, there's stuff being changed, there's stuff being created. I've got a lot of Wands cards here, people, 4 of them, the King, the 4, the 3, and the Ace, all appearing together there. And we've got the Judgment card. Judgment and Justice. Karmic and fated. I'm going to stake my fucking flag right here on that one. Don't try and second guess what it is, because I don't think that you will see it coming. Not with the Wheel of Fortune there, and not with that glimpse of the Tower and the High Priestess in this deck right at the beginning. But the Nine of Pentacles is about your resources. It's about your personal resources, where the Ten of Pentacles is the culmination. It is, everybody together. It's the happy family. It's the, happy group of friends. It's everybody being really fucking happy with everything all the time, having all of their needs met, meeting their own needs possibly, and then having further needs being met by the love and the comfort and the wisdom of the collective. This is stepping it back to you. This is, what do you need? What resources do you have? How do you marshal those to make sure that you're directing your energy in the right way? Because I think your energy's been kind of fractured. I think that's what this is here. I think there have been things that you've been distracted by. There are things that you've, 5 of Cups underneath here. We can absolutely take that as a dead certainty. There have been things that you've been distracted by. Or possibly not. There's been an absence of things to be distracted by. And the boredom and the malaise and the, God, I just wish things would be a bit more fucking interesting, kind of thing going on. It's all coming back to you this month. We've got the Nine of Pentacles with that 5 of Cups there, but we've also got the Magician. Now, remember what the Magician speaks of. The Magician says you have everything that you need, right? We don't have an excess of swords here, aside from the sword on the Magician's card and this 3 of Swords in reverse. We've got a lot of everything else though, and particularly a lot of wands, but you know, we've got cups and we've got pentacles too. The key to being a magician is combining them in the right order, along with your intent to manifest what it is that you want to bring towards yourself. And I think that because your mind is changing about what it is that you want to manifest, I'm assuming that that's what that is there, what you choose to commit to, what you want your environment to look like. It could be a fucking house and stuff. And, you know, Ten of Pentacles could be a home. Totally changing your mind about the fact that you want to move, or the fact that you don't want to move, you know, or where you're going to move to. Things like that, right? Take it as it resonates to you. But this Nine of Pentacles here feels like it's a searing insight suddenly into the resources that you do have available, where you've been possibly mismanaging them, where they can be picked up and put somewhere else that you can build, which is important for Tauruses. Tauruses like to build, right? Where you've been focusing on the wrong thing, and how you can focus your intent and all of your resources onto the right thing to get what it is that you want. It feels like July is going to be a really big month for you. I mean, fuck. We've got the Star card and we've got the Temperance card. It's Aquarius and Sagittarius respectively. And you might be dealing with a Sagittarius. I mean, you might even be dealing with a fucking Gemini or a Virgo, right? But not necessarily. Like, this feels too big. The Star card is about your goals, your dreams, your hopes, your wishes. What are you going to be wishing for, Taurus? Because I think that you're going to see a way to get to it this month. And more than that, I think you're going to realise that it was you who was stopping yourself. Just notice that the King of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck there, with the moon sitting behind it, right? It's been you, it's been your subconscious, it's been the way that you've been looking at a situation that has been holding you back. Now, this Temperance card, speaking of balance and moderation, right? Kind of having yourself tipped back straight again so that you can move forwards. The thing is, there are going to be a few things, I think, that are going to rock you a little bit this month, but in a really good way. Like in a really, really good way. Yeah, there might be some little bit of frustration about the fact that you've held yourself still on something for a while, but there's far more relief that you can actually see a path out. There's a way forwards now, you know? God, right, I've prattled on for ages. So, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. If you would like to join me over there, you are very, very much welcome. The link is down in the description box. If you would like to join my Patreon and get access to all of these videos a little earlier than everybody else, as well as being able to watch all of them for no extra cost, then the link for that is down in there as well. Absolutely outstanding group of people. I love them so much. They're like family now to me. But if not, don't worry. I don't think you're going to worry. What I feel is relief and resolve. I think I might call the video that, like relief and resolve. Those are the two feelings that are coming up. You know, relief about the fact that you finally worked out what the fucking obstacle is, and resolve to actually start getting something done. Just go with that. And be looking for the center ground with everything for this month, because it's a good place for you to bounce from. You don't want to be trying to bounce from an extreme, you know. Right, know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.